And then I started obviously with the local team called Glenville Celtic, AFC down in Kelvindale. And yeah, the rest is history. Honestly, I never looked back. And I mean, I was the only girl up until I was 14. And I think that's when they realized that Kaylin's getting too good for these boys. She must move on now.
Come on now. What? We're back. Where are we? Right here. Off the Bench episode 4. That's where we are. If you guys are wondering why I'm alone, you will see a little bit later. There is someone here alongside me, but my partner in crime, Sin Jazzy Jazz, is busy playing a little heart house in Sri Lanka. They're doing really, really well. A couple of new players coming in, but we're really excited for them. And Sin Jazzy Jazz, we can't wait for you to be back. I've been gone. I left the country, but I came back. I missed all of you, so we came back. And then I went and I got hurt, and that's why we took a little bit longer to get you. So everything's going to happen at a much slower pace today than it usually does, but the energy's still going to be high. We've got an incredible guest, and we can't wait to take you on this incredible journey with us. So please help me in joining my Instagram friend, Kaylin Swart. Banyana. Kaylin, welcome. Welcome to Off the Bench. It's really, really great to have you here. Thank you so much for driving all the way from your home to here to join us. It's been an incredible season for you. Congratulations on those 50 caps. Do you feel old now? Do you feel like one of the older players in this inside?
Well, first off, let me say thank you for inviting me to sit on your beautiful black couch.
Thanks.
No, it's been a crazy journey, but yeah, it's been incredible. And I mean, 50 caps for the national team is not small. It's not a small feat. And for me to get to where I am now, obviously with a lot of hardships, but yeah, I'm just grateful that I was able to, play 50 times for the national team and may it continue.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get into that. So this is why I said everything's going to happen a little slow, because we're going to go into our cheers. And we spoke to Kayla beforehand around why she wanted to cheers. And what did you say we're cheersing to?
We'll cheers to 50.
We'll cheers to 50. And we're also cheersing to Liverpool. There we go. Here we go. It's going to be a slow cheers. Here it is. Okay, so you got a cheers.
All right.
And then you take a sip.
Cheers,
Here it
mate.
is. Cheers. Okay. So the reason, guys, I had shoulder surgery, so if I look a little crazy, it's just the shoulder. I have to keep it still. I'm seeing my doctor tomorrow, and I don't want her to watch the episode and shout at me. So it's gonna be really important. Big Liverpool fan. Congratulations. You said your neighbors were worried why there was so much screaming in the house. Did you have to go explain?
No, I think they kind of knew, because I'm so passionate, and like when Liverpool's playing, when my beloved Kaizer Chiefs is playing, it's a rowdy, So
last weekend was tough too.
Yes, it was very tough.
Did you get some of that, the merch? I saw like there was some old school Kaizer Chiefs merch.
I actually looked at it. I really want to get it. Those are very clean, but yeah.
I love that for you though. Okay, so you grew up in PE, Kelvindale. We've got a couple names here. Ronald Williams, Dane Clade, Kermit Erasmus. Is there like something special in the water that's happening down there? Tell us about your journey. Tell us about your life growing up.
Oh, what? Where do I even begin?
When you were born. It's a good place to start.
Yeah. Okay, well, when I was born, football was not on my brain. So, I mean, growing up in Port Elizabeth, Kelvindale, it's a very small but big, town, and the community, everyone, we love each other. Everyone's, the kids, we're all like friends and family. But I mean, I'm grateful for the way I grew up, not just for my parents, but just the people in the community and how they kind of raised me too, But the names you mentioned are pretty big names. Those guys really paved the way for a lot of us. And I mean, if I look back, they were like my role models, because women's football wasn't a thing growing up. And I didn't really know anything about women's football. And so those guys, Dane Clate, Ronald and I played together for a little bit when I was a junior before he left. Yeah. So they were really my role models. And until I, started playing football competitively, and that's when I kind of realized that, hey, we can, take up space. And then the national team started coming back on TV, and then obviously that's when you realize, and you're like, oh, damn, maybe that's where I can be, or that's where I'm heading. So, yeah, growing up, it was tough. I mean, the colored communities are not always the safest and the best environments, but I can only thank my parents for, they did shelter me a little bit.
Have to.
Tough
down there.
Very tough, yeah. No, my parents did a really good job, trying to shelter my brother and I. But I still experienced what it was being in, that community and, not having everything that you really wanted as a kid. But the fact that I'm sitting here, even though despite my upbringing and my background, we've all obviously had the ambition to play football. And yes, we played at the local grounds, and sometimes we play on gravel, and there's red sand, and coming home I'm scraped with bruises. And
why are you home? And the lights outside are off. My mom always used to ask me, she used to say, like, the street lights are off. Why did you only get home?
Yes.
You have to get home before the street lights go on, or the street light before the street lights go on. You have to be home. But where did that passion for football come in? Because you played cricket, you were a dual sport athlete. There was kind of a little bit of everything. Where was that passion and that kind of aha moment that this is where you wanted to be?
I played in the street. Like, that's where it started. I was playing in the street with the boys, and I was always the only girl. So for me, that for me that was never. I never saw it any different, because that's what I was so used to. Just started in the street, and I think I was about 5 or 6, and my dad asked, this is what he told me, because that's what I remember.
Tell us.
He said he asked me, like, if I really want to play football. So I said, well, we could try. I mean, I enjoy playing in the street. I don't care about it. But And then I started, obviously, with the local team called Glenville Celtic, AFC down in Kelvindale. And, the rest is history. Honestly, I never looked back. And, I mean, I was the only girl up until I was 14. And I think that's when they realized that Kaylin's getting too good for these boys. She must move on now.
Come on now.
But then obviously at 14, puberty and you maturing. And then obviously my dad got a little bit worried about, I'm growing up now and I'm becoming a teenager. But if I look back at it, that's probably where the love and the joy and everything started. Like you mentioned cricket, that was also something that was a very, very big part of my life.
Bowler, batter?
I was all-rounder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She did
I
everything.
still play a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll come join you. Okay, let's do like a mini cricket team on the weekend.
I'm down.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so everything literally just started in the street, and that's where my love ignited. But if I look back now, I can only say thank you for where I started and where I am now.
Who were like some of those prominent figures when you were growing up and kind of, you mentioned playing with the guys, you mentioned playing with Ronwin. Were there any like prominent figures at that point in time who you were looking forward to, perhaps in the women's sporting space, or was that not something you saw at that time?
South African icons, no.
Yeah.
At that point, Hope Solo was probably she still is my idol. And at that time, like, Hope Solo was everything that I wanted to be, and despite me not even knowing if I'd become a goalkeeper, because I played striker, I played midfielder, I played everywhere.
You were the all-rounder for soccer too.
And I just turned 13, I'll never forget, and my dad was like, why don't you try being a goalkeeper? And, Hope Solo was my idol since I started, but I never thought I'd become a goalkeeper, and when I did, my obsession became even more, but in the beginning, I hated it.
Because you're
Believe
bored,
it or not, I hated it.
Aren't you just bored standing at the back and just watching everything else happen in front of you?
And I just loved scoring goals and, celebrating goals and stuff. And so when he asked me if I wanted to be a goalkeeper, so I was like, hell no. Like, I'm not even going to put on gloves. But if I think back about it, it just came naturally, and then weeks went by, and obviously he was my first goalkeeper coach that I've ever had. My dad. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
so everything just fell into place, I guess. And so when I became a goalkeeper, I hated it for a little bit, but then I went to boarding school in Pretoria at the High Performance Center.
Yes.
And I think that's where everything kind of just started making sense to me about, women's football and, how far it can go. And I mean, the national team wasn't even on my radar at that point. All I wanted to do was just play soccer.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another.
And now 50 caps later.
50 caps later.
You went to the US. You attended Menlo College. You had 53 appearances. What is that transition? Also just the quality of football that they play over there, or let's call it soccer.
Soccer.
So talk to us about that kind of transition. How did you fit in? What was the thinking behind, making that change? How did you end up there? And I mean, you didn't have a bad career while you were there. So, just tell us that journey.
I had the biggest culture shock of my life, I think. I mean, coming from Galvindale, Port Elizabeth, then I moved to Pretoria, Hatfield, for that matter.
Come on. The middle of Hatfield. Yes.
In the middle of Hatfield.
In the middle.
And obviously going from Pretoria, then I was in Cape Town for a year. I was at UWC my freshman year before I moved to the States. And obviously going from Pretoria to Cape Town and another...
That's already a shock.
Very big difference.
I came from Cape Town to Pretoria and I was shocked.
Exactly.
My granny still doesn't believe that I can speak Afrikaans.
So you understand.
Oh, I can't speak Afrikaans.
Don't ask me to speak Afrikaans.
No, we won't do it. We won't put you on the spot.
So going from Cape Town to America, and mind you, I was in Iowa, which is in the Midwest.
Yes.
And all you see around is cornfields and, regular America.
Very sweet home Alabama.
So when I got to the States, obviously I was in Iowa and I got there in winter and it was snowing. And so when I landed, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
It's cold.
Yes. And I did not have a big jacket on.
Nice.
So it all kind of just, if I think about it now, it's such a blur, because yes, it was a big, a step for me, but it was just, I was so raw and I just didn't understand what the American culture was and stuff. So all those adjustments kind of just happened as every day was just, trying to see where I stand or where I am in this world in America. And I mean, it's a totally different ball game. So obviously you got to deal with the culture and the people and how they do things. And Americans are an interesting bunch of people.
We like them. We
love them, but so it's just been such a crazy journey. But I think that for me was just a big culture shock. But I mean, going to Iowa and then ending up at Menlo, I think that was the best transfer I've ever done. And I mean, Menlo literally gave me everything I needed. They didn't just give me a degree, but they made me a better player, a better person.
A degree in what was that? What's the degree?
A BSc in sports management and marketing.
Okay, nice. If nothing else works out.
Nothing else. I have a
Kids
degree.
always have a degree.
I told my dad one time, I was like, I can play football, but I have a degree.
I have a degree.
At least I have
a degree. So important. No, but I'd love to know, what is that? The going into the US and kind of the culture and the system and the professionalized system that they have on that side, and the contrast to South Africa, where now we're starting to see the professionalizing of it. But how big is that contrast? Is it something that you think we'll be able to reach, that is attainable? Or do you think we're a little bit closer to where they are at the moment? Because I still imagine in the women's soccer field, we are still chasing the US. So can you just tell us about, that contrast kind of?
It's crazy. You can't even really compare it. But I think we're heading in the right direction, but we're still so far off. We've made a lot of progress over the years. But if you look at where the US is now, not just the national team, but their league and how the people are so invested, and I think the exposure that they get and the exposure that they give the players is crazy. Because if you go into the college level, it's already professionalized, you know. So when you go from college to the pros, you're already seasoned, because what they do at college is literally the stepping stone of being a pro athlete. So that's also the big thing that I think helped me a lot, was that they're so professional in what they do and the resources that they give. And I think they just level out everything else, because yes, you get an education, but your sport and what you do, you grow so much, because there's just so much exposure and investment that is in there. And I think that's also why they are where they are, because of the investment. And like I said, we have made progress, but we're so far off. And I pray that one day, while I'm still playing, that things are, you know, where it should be. But if we have to fight now for the next generation to fly, then I don't mind it, you know. So
I think that for a lot of us that are playing in this era now, I think that's so much of our you know, mindsets, because I know when I played, it was never about me. Even in broadcasting now, it's never about me, because I want women to be able to come into a rugby space and not wonder, does she belong there? I want everyone to know that because of Layla, because of Moss, because of Couture, they did it, and now I know I belong. So, like, I think it's such a, do you think it's like our generation? Like, I don't know, is it like our generation thing? Because it almost feels like it is, like, it's not about us, it's about everyone that's coming through. And I want to know, like, why is it so many of us? Is it because we know of the hardships and we know how good it can be?
I always ask, why am I one of God's strongest soldiers?
I don't want to be the strongest shoulder. I was the strongest shoulder. I don't have a shoulder. It's a soldier.
Soldier.
Yes.
No, honestly, I question that so often. And I'm like, why do I have to be the soldier? You know, why couldn't someone else be the soldier? So I could just be
someone else.
You know, the prodigy or something.
I just wanted to be okay. I wanted it all have been worked out by the time I came through.
100%. But yeah, I do think so. You know, I feel like there's always a purpose to why we do things and why things happen. And there's always a reason. And I think we are the reason, only because of how much, you know, we've grown the sport, not just women's football, but just, you know, being a women athlete, like a female athlete in general, you know. And they say the future is female, but, you know, women's sport is really taking over right now. And I think that it's such a great picture to see, because for the longest time we were always in the back seat. And, you know, now people, when you're driving, you're walking around the mall or at the beach and people recognize you. I think that's big time.
You're handing out autographs.
I try.
Hey, yes.
Yeah, so just small things like that. I think that is such a good, it's an exciting time, not just for us, but for the, you know, the new generation and the kids that are coming after us, because we've obviously painted the picture now that, you know, there is a future, there is, you know, life in whatever sport you do, but there is also life after what you do. So I do think that we were made to, you know, run the race, and so everyone can just fly. But yeah, it's been crazy, but I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way, you know, because when I started, there was people before me that laid the foundation, you know. So we keep putting the layers.
We keep adding, make it a really strong foundation.
100%. And, you know, by the time I retire, or all of us retire, that's now in our 30s, you know, when we get phased out. I would love for the newer generation to say, you know what, that team or those group of girls, they made it possible for us to be where we are. And I think that would be such a full circle moment. Absolutely. I think if we all just sit back and we watch everything that we, you know, we've created 100%. And the flowers are just blossoming. And we're like, oh, wow.
And that's like that for me. Like, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. So to everyone who's there at home watching, you're welcome. We're working hard. I promise. What is I know how I felt when like a little girl came up to me and said, you're an inspiration. I know I've got two stories and I've got two feelings about it. But when kids come up to you, or you get a DM, or you get someone to say, you know, like, you're really my inspiration, how does that moment make you feel?
At first it was, or it is, it's always going to be overwhelming. Because I do suffer from imposter syndrome. Believe it or not.
What? Guys, sorry guys, did we just call my twin in?
Yeah, so I suffer from that a lot. And sometimes I do kind of try to remind myself that, you know, I am where I am because I worked hard for it. And sometimes you don't really always believe what you think or see, you know. And for me, it's amazing. It's overwhelming, but it warms my heart so much because it's just such a great feeling that, you know, whatever I'm doing, there's people that are watching and they take a leaf out of my book. But yeah, I think, well, every weekend, like when we're playing league matches and stuff, and you have the little ball girls and the ball boys, when those moments, it's crazy how great it makes you feel, you know, but it's still hard to believe that I am that person for these kids, you know, but I'm also very proud of where I am and how much I've grown to be a role model for the kids to look at and see, oh, Kaylin did that, I can do that too, you know. And I think representation is so amazing. It's so good. And it's such a big tool for the next generation, because when the kids from my neighborhood, when they see me on TV or they see me playing, they can see themselves in my shoes. And I think that is something that I'll never take for granted, you know, because I know I was that girl once upon a time. So now that, so it is overwhelming, it's an amazing feeling. It's a great feeling.
It's overwhelming. I know I had a moment, there were like two moments in my life where in my younger self, before I kind of found who I am and who I want to be and the type of person I wanted to be, when kids came up to me and they said, you know, like, you're such an inspiration or whatever, I felt like a scam, because I knew that I wasn't living my truest identity. I wasn't living my life to the fullest and who I wanted to be. And like in a 10-year span, to now look 10 years on and be like, the amount of growth that we do, and I credit it so much to sport because of the highs and lows that you go in sport. You learn more about yourself in the lows than you do in the highs. And like, to now have gone through a whole new identity, to find who you are, to find people, to find your people.
Crazy, huh?
And the kid like comes up to you now and says that you can finally be like, that's something you can finally be proud of, because you're like, I've worked so hard to get to this place where now I'm my truest self. And I think us as women in sport now in this moment, that's why we're all striving to be so much better than we thought we wanted to be, because we didn't realize how far we could go. And now suddenly all these doors are opening and you can realize, oh, how far it is. And coming back to South Africa, you're in Sundowns. You're in one of the most notable teams in the country, but there's still so much more that's happening in teams below you. You know, where's the problem? What do we need? How do we fix it to be able to get everyone to the right level so that we can compete at this big international stage? We saw WAFCON, we saw at the World Cup what the team is capable of, but what's still missing, do you think?
That's a loaded one. But the club that I play for, JVW Football Club, I mean, they've really, paved the way in terms of the development and, trying to get the academy going and, like having the development side where kids have a pathway to the first team. And being at JVW alone is something that I love and I enjoy, because there's so many potential superstars that are coming through the ranks, especially the under 13 team, under 16, all of those, the junior teams, and the fact that they get to see us train and play every week. I think you can't buy that, and but I do believe that investment and just the overall interest in women's football, I think would change everything. Because if you have someone at the top that is all for women's sport, I don't think we can go wrong with that, But I think everyone's just trying to dip their toe in it, but not really stepping into it, And I think that it's so sad, actually, because we've achieved so much, not just as a national team, but as individual players and, helping our clubs, thrive and make sure that we really represent who we are and who we play for at the highest level and at the best of our ability. Because, we don't get much, but you'd swear that we get paid millions to play because of how we perform. But that's all pride, that's pride. And just having the honor of representing the national team is massive. That alone is a motivation in itself, So, I just think it's just investment and just people that are in the positions to really make it work. Because we can do everything we can on the field, but off the field, if there's no backing, if there's no support, then what we do on the field really doesn't matter, know. But I think all of us, we play for the love for the game, the passion that we have for it, and I believe we will be compensated at one time in our lives. I think we will play for money, but you know what? Right now,
it's not going to be us. No, we're the strong soldiers.
Exactly. We play for passion now.
We play for passion because we love the game.
Exactly. Yeah. So I do think that all of us have that one goal of just, being successful within our own right, and not successful because of what so-and-so did, and I think that's something that we really hold close to our hearts because despite all the negatives we get, the, zero resources or whatever the case may be, we're still going to perform because this is what we love to do. This is what we want to do. And like I said, we're not just playing for ourselves. We're playing for the kids that are coming after us or the players that are in the system that are just waiting for their turn, and and I feel I always say football is like a revolving. What's the word?
Those revolving doors.
Yeah,
There we go.
Because there's you'll see there's so many players that just come in and show themselves, and then maybe it's my time, and then maybe it's the next youngster coming in. So it's just it's a conveyor belt of the talent that is coming through. And it's so crazy that we have all this talent coming through, but we don't have a professional league. We're not getting paid to play. We train at night because we all have 9-to-5 jobs, or, we're coaches, or we do extra stuff just to, have money to pay the bills. And we've achieved all this by doing that. Imagine we were just focusing on what we actually do. How much further we'd be as a team, as individuals, as women's football in this country. It would be, I think we'd probably be
out today.
Right?
Because we had this conversation because Sinalo, the cricket side of things is obviously fully professional, and that's that's all that they can focus on. I've got a rugby background, my better half's in the rugby background, so we know what it's like. Because it's the same. There's one incredibly dominant team, like in soccer. There's one incredibly dominant side, and then all the other sides. You have to have that 9-to-5. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. You've got moms who are playing the game and still want to play because they love the sport, and it's purely just for that playing for the passion. And that's why we've got the shows, because we want to tell those kind of stories and make people aware of the fact that everyone has so much to say, and there's so much criticism that comes along with all of these things, but people forget there are programs that aren't professional. People forget that you've got a job. Like you've just played 50 caps a couple seconds ago, but it's not all you're doing. You're not sitting and thinking, oh, this is all I've got to go do. We just spoke about it. We've got to go make the bread. We've got to pay. We've got to hustle. We've got to pay the rent. But that comes down to mental resilience, and you advocate for mental health
100%.
All the time. And I kind of want to get into your journey at the World Cup. You spoke about how hard that period was for you too, but kind of take me through that journey. Kind of take me through that up and that down, and how you kind of were able to pull yourself out of that and get to a good spot now. It's not all good. It's not all sunshine and roses, and we still have these days. But I want people to know that you know, even if it is tough, there is someone like you who is an inspiration, who went through all of it, and you cannot come out at the top, basically.
Yeah, I think the fact that we hustle our way through life right now is crazy. But then again, I wouldn't have it any other way, you know, because I think through the hardships and the struggles, that's how we grow as people. And for me, my journey was never sunshine and roses. I mean, I had a lot of bumps in my journey, but I'm better for it now, you know. I've grown so much through it. But I think being at the World Cup, as much as it was my biggest high, and, you know, that was obviously the highlight of any footballer's career is the Women's World Cup, or, you know, any World Cup for that matter. And being at the World Cup, it was the greatest time of my life, but it was also the lowest time of my life. And I think it was all just mental. I think it was just me not being able to, you know, process the downs of social media and, you know, the fans that have their say. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion,
100%.
you know, but I mean, sometimes your opinion doesn't have to be personal, or it doesn't have to, you know, throw daggers in my heart or something like that, you know.
Because people forget we're human beings, right?
And the thing is, like, we are so, everyone's so fixated on what we do rather than who we are and, you know, what we bring to the table. Because before I'm a footballer, I'm Kaylin Swart. You know, I'm the clown. I'm the, you know, I'm the crazy one. I'm everyone's friend. Like, I just want people to be happy that's around me. And but yeah, I think that time, I mean, obviously the games came thick and fast, and every game was like a final for us. And I think for me, I felt like I was in the best shape possible. I was ready to compete, and obviously it's not great to concede, but how we concede and how we went about it and how we bounced back from every match, I think it just also showed how resilient we are as a group. But for me, I think it was just the fact that I think just social media just became overwhelming, and I think sometimes I also tried to like shelter myself from it, but it was just front and center, you know, and everything was just out there, and
The voices were very loud.
it was very loud. It was very loud. And also there was a lot of, obviously during the time of the World Cup, I had a family member of mine, like really, like an uncle that passed on. He was like my dad. So during the games, like this all happened. So there was a lot of things that I had to deal with, not just the criticism from, you know, the fans and on social media and stuff, but just that feeling of, you know, feeling that I let the team down or I didn't do enough. But then when I look back at the games and you're like, whoa, but I actually did well and I did what I needed to do to help the team. But there's still that little bit of, you know, uncertainty of what I was doing and what I was, you know, there to, like what I was doing for the team and how I was just trying to be the best goalkeeper I could be. But yeah, it was just, I think it was just the dark side of everything, you know, not being confident in my own ability, and I faked it until I didn't make it anymore. You know, and but I do think that if I didn't have my teammates and obviously, you know, the ones that I'm really close to on the team, if I didn't have their support, and I don't think I would have made it out alive. Because it was so hard, because like I said, the World Cup is obviously, it's the biggest stage. Everything is more amplified. You know, the exposure is on 10,000. And, you know, all the eyes were on me, and I just didn't know how to deal with all of that attention. And how it just became something that I was thinking about constantly, you know. So I wasn't fully myself, and I wasn't confident enough in me, because I was always thinking about what are these people saying, like how do they see me, you know, I conceded a goal. Like, damn, was that my fault? Even though it was got nothing to do with me.
Don't worry, there's a striker and there are defenders. I'm going to back you. There's strikers, there's midfielders, and there's defenders. You're the last line of attack. I was the fullback, and if they scored a try, then everyone blamed me. And it's not my fault because they had to get through the forwards, and then they had to get through the centres, and then they had to get through a scrum off. Why is it my fault? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I feel you.
Yeah, so like that time, I feel like you know, when things like that happen, you try to really, you know, process it all. But I wasn't able to process everything. So I was just bottling everything up. So I did break a little, but I didn't break enough where I couldn't perform for the team, you know. And despite all of that, I don't know how, but I found that little bit of, you know, I don't even know how to say it, but you know what I was going to say.
It's just a little bit of,
you know, and I found it. And also the thing is because I was so determined that we were going to succeed in this tournament, you know, and I put all my struggles and everything that I was dealing with aside.
It's not about you, right?
Exactly. It's never about me. But in that moment, I didn't even think about myself. I was thinking about everyone else on that team. And how I am going to contribute to what's happening at this tournament. And it was hard. Yeah. It was really hard. There were some nights where I was laying up in bed. There was times I couldn't sleep, you know, because you're constantly thinking about how and why would this person say this? Or, you know, how can they just assume that this is what's happening? And I feel like that's also why mental health is such a huge thing, and I think we should always be talking about it, because you never know what people are going through behind closed doors. You know, the best of athletes are struggling. I mean, we've achieved so much. I've achieved so much so far in my career that I still don't feel like I deserve it or I should be where I am, you know. And but yeah, it was a crazy time. But I'm grateful that I went through that, because it made me a better person. It made me mentally stronger. And with all of that, I mean, I'm better. Yeah. And if we had spoken like a year or 2 years ago, I probably would have been bawling my eyes out now.
You can cry.
No,
we've got tissues.
So that's how far I've come, that I'm able to talk about these things and not shed a tear because of how that person made me feel. But also I just realized that, you know, like I said, everyone's got their own opinion, but they don't know who I am. And if they want to know who I am, then they'll
watch this episode.
Yes, that too. But like whatever they were saying, like at some point I needed to realize that what they say was never going to benefit me, because where we are and where we're going, I think it also just makes you stronger. You know, you have that. Now I got a thick skin. Now I just don't give a damn anymore. I just love my life. And I think, like I said earlier, like, yes, I'm in the best shape of my life now, but I think mentally is what I mean. When I say I'm in the best shape of my life, is because obviously I've gone through all of that, and I went through therapy, and I always thought that, I'm just going to deal with this on my own and go. It doesn't work.
There are people that study,
it doesn't work,
that know how to deal and help us. And I think it's so important that this conversation is a conversation that's had, because I can't think that anywhere ever in my career that, you know, people thought about or spoke about what happens if you're having a bad day, or what do you do if you miss that last tackle and they go score the winning try? Like, what do you do? Like, how to not make it personal and turn it on yourself. What do you do with social media now that social media is one of the most incredible tools that we have, but it can be one of the most destructive tools at the same time. And I think that's still such a big part that's lacking, is the education around how to take me as Layla, take Kaylin out of whatever they are saying, and just let it be that. I tell myself don't read the comments every single day of my life, but you know what I go do? I still go read the comments, and then there'll be 20 good comments, or there'll be like 2 terrible comments, and I'm going to be thinking about the 2 terrible comments, and I'm not going to even worry about the 20 other good comments, because we've just not been taught how to deal with it. Now that we're older, now we've got tools and we put certain things in place. But I still think there's still such a long way to go in order to teach athletes, in order to teach female athletes, how to deal with that negative. With the negativity that comes with the joy that is sport. But on that, we had Andile.
Yeah.
Episode 1. She sang for us. It was a great time.
I saw that one.
It was a good one.
She likes to flex with the songs.
She loves to flex. Well, we try to force it out of her too. We were like, beforehand, we spoke to her, we were like, are you going to sing to us? And then we made her sing out the show, which was just the perfect way to end the first episode. But you guys are teammates, you guys are friends, but you are competing for the same jersey. You know, how has it affected your relationship? How have you guys kind of been able to put that away, and kind of put the thought of having to fight for the same jersey essentially aside, and just be able to be good teammates who support each other through difficult things, or even, you know, through the good times?
You know, Andile and I come such a long way. I mean, we were together from U20 national team and up until now, today. And I think we've competed with each other, against each other our whole lives, pretty much. But I think what gets us to where we are, or what got us to where we are today, is just the foundation of our friendship. It's all love. Like, the two of us are two peas in a pod, and we get along so well, but we can fight too. And, you know, there's times where, I don't know, but she gets annoyed with me pretty fast, though.
I wonder why.
And sometimes I do say things out of pocket, and I don't always mean it badly, but...
It's your ADHD.
Yeah, big time. My undiagnosed
ADHD, I feel you.
Yeah, so I just think we've grown our friendship so much that there is the trust, there's the love, you know, and yes, we know that we're competing for the same position, but us being competitors and just being that competitive person made us better goalkeepers, because the two of us we try to push ourselves and push each other as much as we can. And I think if I didn't have her, if she didn't have me, I don't think we'd be the goalkeepers we are today. So yeah, I think it's just the friendship that we've built, and, you know, we've grown so much together that we understand that there's one position, and when it's her turn, I'm going to cheer for her. When it's my time, I know she's going to cheer for me, you know. So I think that is why we are where we are and why we compete the way we do, and because the foundation is friendship, and you can't go wrong with that, you know. And there was a lot of times where, you know, the media tried to like pin us to get against each other and saying that, you know, she should be playing or I should be playing, or, you know how everything. Will. Yeah. Dogs. So it was a difficult time. I think it took us a while to understand, or to come to terms with, you know, the outside noise and people not knowing where our relationship is or how our friendship is and what it was built on, you know. And but yeah, I think the love that we have for each other, everyone can see. Yeah. I mean, we play for rival clubs. Like, you know, when we compete against each other, we don't really talk. Yeah. But after the game, it's like, hey, bro, I haven't seen you forever. I missed you. Things like that, you know. And getting to compete with her is really something special, because the bond that we have, the bond we share on the field, off the field, you don't get that a lot, you know, especially in competitive sport. And I mean, we're both gunning for the same position. And yeah, it's just, sometimes I think people find it crazy that we're so close and that we're competing for the same thing. But I mean, when you have a friendship like that, I think everything else is just null and void, because we know what it took for us to get to this position. And now we just got to ride that wave where it's not about us, it's about the team. So whichever decision the coach makes, we accept it, because we're going to do the job that we need to do. And I think that's the beauty of our relationship and our friendship. And I don't think it will ever change. But I mean, when we tell our kids one day that, yeah, we were fighting for one position, but we still loved each other. Like we weren't, you know, so yeah, it's just, it's an amazing friendship and relationship that we have. But yeah, I can only thank her for pushing me to be the best I can be. And I mean, I hope I do the same for her.
We'll get on and we'll get on. We'll ask if she does it. You said you guys have a job to do. Back to back is potentially on the cards.
Hey, man.
Back-to-back
jinx
WAFCON.
us.
I'm not jinxing you. I'm asking. I'm not jinxing. I'm just asking.
We're going to pray to the soccer god. Hopefully it happens.
We've never been in a situation where that's something that we could potentially be chasing, you know. Is that pressure? Is it weighing heavily? Are you guys stressed? Have you guys spoken about it? What are the preparations in going and looking to go for the back-to-back?
It's an exciting time for us. Yes, obviously I'm very anxious for this next tournament. It's not too far away now. And I think that's something that's obviously playing every day when I go to training, and I'm like, AFCON, AFCON. This is what we're playing for. This is what we're training for. But, you know, going for the title is hard. Maintaining it's even harder.
Even worse.
And I think this might be the best AFCON that there will be. I mean, every team has grown. You know, you've seen how strong Nigeria's been. I mean, Zambia is obviously climbing up the ranks now. We're trying to maintain a standard that we've set for ourselves, which is hard in itself. And obviously there's teams like, you know, Tanzania, that's obviously part of the group that we're going to play. Botswana's growing a lot. So all the African teams are really growing, and you can see the steps that they've made in terms of their personnel and their players playing abroad now. And we have our players playing abroad now. So it's going to be a hard tournament, but I'm excited for it because the possibility of us coming out of Morocco again with a title is, it's on the top of the list, man. Like, I'm just so excited for it to start already because I know that, yes, we're not where we want to be at the moment, but you know, whenever we go into camp, you can see the progress that we've made, not just as a team, but you can see the progress that individual players have made. And those are the individuals that make up the team performance, you know, and we all have a common goal. Obviously, we want gold again. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. But yeah, I think we've grown a lot to understand that what lies ahead of us, you know, and like I said, the passion and the pride we have to play for the national team, that exceeds everything else. And I think that's why we want to do well, because that's our motivation, is for us to be as successful as we can be. Because, I mean, this could be the last AFCON for a number of us in the team, you know, and obviously you want to end your career on a high. So that is the plan, to come back as champions.
Well, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to seeing the rewards of this plan. I want to take you off the field now, because you've solidly gone and you've thought about life after playing, and you've decided to come out. You're potentially going to be one of my colleagues soon. Well, in different studios, so it's a different life. You've come to SuperSport. You're sitting on panels. You're chatting. You're chatting Premier League. You're chatting all of these things. What's Champions League? All of these, you know, what's
I want to be like you when I grow up.
It's tough. Don't do that. It's tough. You're going to hurt a shoulder. You know, what's that life been like? What's that transition been like? Have you been enjoying it? Has it been one of those like a surreal moments? Do you understand why we're always stressed all the time?
Nah, honestly, I've loved every bit of it so far. I mean, the guys on the panel really make it easier for me because they allow me to be myself. And obviously I bring a different perspective in terms of, you know, not just my knowledge, but how I understand the game, you know. And I have a few coaches that would say that Kaylin was never meant to be a coach, but then there's some where they're like, yeah, you can, you know, you got a good idea and mindset, or just perspective of everything. But yeah, I've really come to, you know, to terms with the thoughts of, thinking about my life after football already. And I feel like I still have so much more to give to the game, but at some point you have to really think about, what's going to happen once you hang up your boots.
Yeah.
In my case, hang my gloves up.
Hey, there we go. You wear boots too.
So I have thought about it a lot, and the journey that I'm on now, I'm loving it because football is part of my life and it is my life.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm able to talk about something that I love, it's not a job, it's just me just speaking about my passion and what I see on the screen. And, there's some games where you really find your voice, and then there's some games and you're like, geez, now how do I phrase all of that just happened? So there's a lot of learning that I'm still doing, but it's been really good and I've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
And obviously Neil is also one guy that he really gives me my flowers, Shame. And, sometimes I'm so nervous because this, obviously you get the big games, and Arsenal PSG is a massive game. And sometimes I do get nervous for games like this because sometimes I don't know if I have enough.
Do I know all the big words?
And I know, and I'm like, did I study enough tonight to really know exactly what I'm talking about? Or am I going to speak like someone who don't know? So there's a lot of those thoughts, but yeah, it's just it's a daily progress that I'm really trying to make. But no, I enjoy it so much, and I think I do see myself in front of the cameras for the future, but in what capacity, I don't know.
We love you here. That's the best. It's so lucky to have you. We're almost gonna close, but I'm gonna close off. I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions. Okay. Give me your guilty pleasures.
Country music.
Country music.
Yes.
Same. Same.
Get out of my head, dude.
Same.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna start singing a song. Okay, country music.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite artist?
Oh, Luke Combs.
Wow.
Yes.
We don't have enough time for us to get into country music. We can't. Your best country to travel to for football?
Best country, Brazil.
Oh, I want to go to Brazil.
I love Brazil.
Okay,
I would love
watch.
to go back as a tourist. Yeah.
Okay, Brazil. Nice. Superstitions or routines pre-game?
I've one superstition.
Touch all the poles.
No, my left boot, left club first before right. So left before right.
Okay.
I tend to eat the same thing on game day.
Really?
Every day.
Isn't it just because the chef gives you
No, well, if home games, obviously you eat at home.
Feel.
So I always make, eggs. I eat eggs every day. So,
eggs and? Tell us. This is how you guys become national football players.
Eggs and toast is my thing.
Eggs and toast?
Yeah, simple as that. I'm a very simple girl.
Simple gal.
Yeah.
Simple gal.
I enjoy the simple things in life.
Oh, same. McDonald's orange juice.
Thank you.
I can't. It's going to take so long to get there. It's the other one. It's the one. McDonald's, nobody understands.
No.
If people underestimate a good McDonald's orange juice.
And sometimes the McDonald's Egg McMuffin. Dude, it gives me life in the morning.
Do you know
that
what's
energizes
also good?
Me, dude.
If you walk in Pep and you're about to go pay in Pep and there's a guava oros in the fridge.
You lost me at guava, but
no,
okay.
an oros, like just an oros. Like I will always, all I say is juicy. Then I grab a juicy. It's just the simple pleasures in life.
I'm with you.
You just look for the simple things.
I love the simple things.
I do love the simple things. Okay, what else have we got here? Life after football. We spoke about super sport. Are you hoping to potentially take over at the national team as a head coach one day?
Let's just throw it out there. I mean, I do have a passion for coaching. I love to, grow the sport, especially goalkeeping. The development is not as quick as, being an infield player. So there's so much that goes into being a goalkeeper. And obviously I would love to be in the development stages of goalkeeping in whatever capacity it is. But so I love coaching, but it's not something that I will say like I want to be a coach one day.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, I love it, but I don't see myself there. But after football, I think if I retire in the next couple of years, I want to continue to play cricket.
Nice.
Yeah, and
okay.
I will really I miss it. I really miss it so much. The thing is that at the time I had to choose between football and cricket, So, and football was always my first love. Yes. And as much as I loved cricket, it was an easier no than saying no to football, if that makes sense.
100%.
So coaching, but also just broadcasting or being I always wanted to be a teacher, actually.
Okay.
But I didn't get too far as getting a teaching degree.
The kids these days are so tough.
I know.
They're like a really difficult group of people. So I also I have a teaching degree, I was there for 6 weeks and I just went, never coming back here. Never coming back here. Kaylin, an hour flies in the studio.
I know, it's crazy.
How crazy.
I know.
But I think, first and foremost from our side and in Drazzy Draz's absence, want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story with us. We love being able to tell stories that people don't necessarily know. We love having good people on the show, and you're one of the good. So thank you so much for joining us here, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed your water. And good luck for the workouts. I know you got to run over to the studios after this, so good luck.
No, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. They say time flies when you're having fun, right? I imagine JJ was here. We would have talked for 5 more hours.
It would have been good. It would have been good. It would have been so good. But thank you so much. It was amazing having you here.
It was awesome. Thank you very much.
Episode 4, Off the Bench. Where are we? Right here. We love speaking to good people. The women are looking to go for their back-to-back, and we can't wait to see Kaylin touch all the poles, do all of her superstitions. Don't go anywhere. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Watch this and keep it on loop, and we love having you here. From me and Kaylin, ciao. Bye-bye.